All right, so if you recall, back in between the lines...
Are we going to have to put in a clip?
I know, maybe.
Okay.
I referenced this movie, and Tracy said, I actually have never seen that movie. And then said, you should have it be your next birthday movie.
I'm to blame for this then.
So you were ultimately to blame for it. Not that you want to watch this movie. I'm pretty sure you do not want to watch it.
Oh my god, is it Krull?
It's Krull!
Now I can't use that joke anymore!
Wait, what is it?
Have you ever seen Krull?
You don't
have to see Krull.
In a world where tomorrow's blockbusters reign
And yesterday's classics are forgotten.
3 women intend to remember.
Hey everyone, welcome to Millennials at the Movie House, the podcast where 3 friends watch older movies and review them from our modern, everyday perspectives. I'm Betsy.
I'm Tracy.
And I'm Serena.
Today we are talking about Krull. It's my birthday. I get to pick whatever movie I want, and I picked Krull, guys.
Yeah, it's your birthday, and you could have picked anything.
And I picked Krull.
Krull.
Wait, have you seen?
No, but this is me and Serena's first time, and I think
My expectations
every
were
time
low.
we had like a movie night growing up, this was always an option, and it was never picked.
Never picked. Much to my and my sister's chagrin, it was never picked. All right, Krull, 1983, written by Stanford Sherman, directed by Peter Yates, and starring Ken Marshall, Lysette Anthony, kind of. She's actually not in it that much. Freddie Jones, Alan Armstrong.
Her hair is.
Et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, her hair is there. Quick synopsis, Tracy, go.
Ooh. There it is. God.
Enter the planet of Krull, where there's this prophecy where a man and a woman will have a baby that will save the universe that never comes into play.
Never comes to fruition.
We've got 2 warring factions, and we've got a princess and a prince that are in love and want to get married. And they are in love, but the political part of it is it'll bring these 2 things together so they can conquer the Slayers, who are aliens who have invaded their world. Right before they get married, of course, the princess is captured and kidnapped, and the prince, well now king, has to go save her. And then it's his adventures. He, has some...
Round up a bunch of merry men.
Yes, and goes and defeats the beast and saves the princess.
Yes.
Well said.
I mean, it is classic.
It is. It's a classic story structure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I think was definitely one of its pros.
Yes.
I thought.
Yep.
It's that.
Yep. How'd everyone like it?
I'm gonna be honest. I really liked it.
I was gonna say. Wait a minute. I think she said she liked it before, but then I thought it was going in another direction. Be fair. Our expectations were set pretty low because we have been getting, I don't know.
I mean,
this movie stinks since like Family Guy jokes and for years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's
known as a cult classic.
Exactly.
And usually cult classics from this era, it's so bad it's good.
Mm-hmm.
So you were expecting bad.
Yeah.
But
it was good.
It was solid.
I can't speak for I did not dislike it.
Yeah.
It was fun. It's entertaining. It is entertaining.
I was expecting a Plan 9 experience.
No, yeah, it's not Plan 9 by any stretch. Yep.
I mean, I have some thoughts that we'll get into, but honestly, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, I know it's been the joke of like, it's, you don't need to watch it.
Everyone knows about this movie. It's just, I think most people haven't seen this movie and like kind of have assumptions about it. I will say the reason I picked this movie, I think we've been alluding to it, but I haven't actually explained, is because I grew up with this movie. It was one of our staples in our household. So there were definitely a lot of moments in there where I was doing a lot of explaining and like quoting.
Well, that's true. There was a point where we missed what was said, and we didn't have to look up the script at all because Betsy knew it.
Let me recite the script for you. How about that?
How many times would you say you watched this, Betsy?
Many. about
like
that.
more than two hands.
More.
I
more
want to
than
say
2
you'd watch it at least once every year.
Yes, and when
you
I was
living.
a kid, I watched it very
More
often
often.
because it was one of our VHSs.
Yeah.
We didn't have a huge amount of VHSs growing up. Okay, top of the marquee. What was everyone's favorite part? Serena, go.
The music.
Oh yeah,
it
that's right.
was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. I don't know why. I was getting this.
James Horner.
Yep. I was getting this, I was getting the vibe and I couldn't place it. And then, of course, I had you guys look it up for me. James Horner does Hocus Pocus, which I watched just like a week or two ago, obviously, Halloween. And Land Before Time. Also Titanic. But Land Before Time and Hocus Pocus I watched often growing up. So that music is like, you just hear it and you know.
It
Yeah.
was that adventure music.
Yeah. Like 80s and 90s adventure.
Just instrumental. Just that.
When I think of like old school, 80s fantasy adventure music.
Yeah.
It's never ending. I mean, never ending story.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
that kind. Oh God,
Yeah.
it's very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a specific brand.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Anyways, I loved it. I don't know why. It was like a happy nostalgia. Even like the scary music, when they're fighting the super boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I think music is a great way to get somebody pulled into a movie effectively.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
100%.
it can really make a break.
It can, to a point where a lack of music can also do that. Where you're like any horror movie that you know that buildup of something to be scary, but then when
Can't.
it's a scary movie and there is no music and you don't know what to feel, there's something there too.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have the comfort of the music to
Yeah.
tell you what to feel.
Yeah.
It's very true.
It's the power
That's a good
of
point.
music and hence their lack thereof.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't actually think about that music telling you not how to feel, but what to expect. Kind of almost like foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Anyways, I loved it. I love the music. That was I don't even have any other favorite parts.
I approve.
I'm surprised you didn't. I thought you were gonna say.
Well, I have some favorite parts, but
Okay.
they're not like
Well, my runner-up was Run's lines. Specifically, you picked out
I
two,
did put that.
But my favorite of his was his dying breath, which was I was wrong. The journey was worthwhile. Finish it for me. That is like you always want to have that last word, and that was brilliant. That was really
and
good.
if you zone in on his lines the entire time, he's like, "Oh, we're not getting paid for this, and this is,
Right.
we're not going to have anything with, to take away from the blah blah blah."
I never
So-
think to do runner up
yeah.
parts because I do have the rocks in
Yeah.
our pockets quote. I don't know if
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
read
read
those.
his other lines. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I have this exactly word for word, but Run's line that stood out to me was rocks in our they're starting off on their journey of whatever. Rocks in our pockets and graves above our heads is the only thing we're getting from this journey.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I literally was thinking emeralds in their pockets and literally they're 6 feet under. Like
Yeah.
and then of course enter the quicksand scene. Just a
It
little bit.
was quippy. It was good. It was the first line that we really it spoke
Perked
to
up,
us,
yeah.
and we remembered.
It stuck out. It stuck
And
out.
the other thing
Stood
is,
out.
there's something to be said for Robbie. So Robbie Coltrane played Ron, who is Hagrid. We all know and love him, and Liam Neeson. I think that I know I keep pulling them out of the crowd in this movie, but their acting was so different than everyone else's
Yeah.
because they were naturally good actors.
Yes.
And that's why they went on to be two
Who
of the
they
most
are.
famous people to come out of this movie.
Yes.
Is this their breakout film?
It's not their breakout film. Well, obviously, it's not their breakout film because the film was a flop. So it's
Well,
nobody's
yeah.
breakout film. But
That's true.
It was
Yeah.
very early in both of their careers.
Like start out film, maybe.
Yeah. No, it wasn't their. It was not. I don't think it was either of their first movies, but you can tell that the
I can't believe
talent is there.
I can't believe how young Liam Neeson is.
Yeah,
and now I'm
thought
so
he
used
looked
to.
exactly the same.
He
right,
does,
right.
but like young, but like I don't know. He has a very like certain look to him.
And he has a very distinctive voice.
Yeah.
Once
Yeah.
he talked, you're like, oh, that's Liam Neeson.
Yeah,
Okay.
there it is.
I'm surprised that neither of you put Colwyn as your favorite.
I'm actually gonna just say I'm pleasantly surprised by the cuteness of the guy.
Right? Me too.
Okay? I will say that.
That's good. That's good.
He's cute, guys. I like that.
He was adorable. I think Serena, I think you loved him a little bit more than I did, but he was adorable.
So cute. You know what it is? He has the beard that is really in right now.
He has a modern look.
Right,
Yes.
but it's and a classic handsome. He has the Luke Skywalker hair. I'm telling you right now, like, if his hair was different, he'd probably be like stellar, but
I don't know if it was it Luke Skywalker?
I don't
or was
think it was
Anakin hair.
yeah, Anakin.
Oh.
Wait, Anakin.
Yeah.
Wait,
It was Anakin hair.
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
but Hayden
let me-
Christensen hated
Yes.
Anakin hair. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
wait, I want to
Um,
look.
And it was more Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Anakin. Just kidding, because Luke was the other one. Yeah. Hayden
I
Christensen.
did get Luke vibes from him, but
Right. In terms of like his journey, his character arc, he was Luke.
yeah.
But you know what? It wasn't just the look about him that I thought was cute.
Yes.
You and I agreed that he had this gentle way about him, that he was literally coddling like a injured man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like nowadays
There-
people like don't do that.
Yeah, no, there was
Enough.
a point where he could have been gruffer and the tough guy and the tortured soul, and he wasn't. He was.
We thought we were gonna get
he
that from the
was-
beginning though, because he was almost when he met
Yeah, what's his face?
the princess though. I was like, ooh, I think
He
he's
was, yeah, he was.
he's
He
gruffle.
was confident with the princess, so you kind of expected like a
A rough and tumble.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna
like,
go save her because I'm the best.
egotistic
Yes,
almost.
egotistic.
Yeah.
And you're in a group where it's all men.
Right.
They did not have any women in that group, so
Yeah.
you expected like an alpha struggle.
Yes.
That
Also,
random food scene.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
one of Liam Neeson's wives.
yeah.
One of the many.
I mean, they needed to eat, and they weren't gonna go like hunt and gather. So
They just happened to be in the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
exactly. Literally.
yeah. But point being,
He was a nice guy to everyone. He cared. Anytime somebody was injured, he was right there.
Yeah.
Anytime there was danger, he was right there. And there was never like you said, there was never a struggle for alpha. It was
Yeah.
just
and
you
expect something like that in a group of all men, like they all have to like beat the other guy's toughness or what. None of that amongst any of the guys.
Yeah.
They all kind of were very comfortable in their own, like,
Yeah.
they were doing their job and that was it, and it's fine.
I think now it's more like that.
Yeah.
2020 movie.
Yeah, and exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
and I feel like they try hard to do that where this was very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But back to my favorite part.
Oh, that runs
Oh,
lines
yeah.
were your
No,
favorite
that was my
part?
runner-up.
That was
my
Laura.
runner-up.
Run.
My favorite part was the saying, "Each to his fate." I liked that concept. It was at the beginning when I think
It
Torquil
was
had said it to Colwyn because Colwyn didn't want to leave. I think it was the Cyclops behind or something, or was it?
It was when the Cyclops was leaving the first time when they
first
were
time.
heading off on the fire mares. Yeah.
and Torquil had said it to Colwyn, and it was I don't know. He said it to him, and they both understood. Like, yeah, you have to make your own decisions in life, and you can't force anybody. And I feel like that was a poignant part, and it was again repeated where this is to each his fate. I like that.
And it was a very important character moment for Cyclops. And so him sharing that with Colwyn, it was a poignant moment.
Yeah.
That was good. Good job.
Bets. I mean, this is your movie that you love. I bet there's so many.
Every moment. No. It's funny because thinking of this movie, I have things that I hate. I don't know if I can pinpoint something that I love.
I think in your previous birthday, you said that you had so many, but every time you watch something, you find something new.
Exactly.
So what was something new that you liked about this one?
It was that very good. Thank you. I appreciate that. The way you twisted that question. The landscapes.
Oh yeah.
They did a lot of on location
Yep.
shooting. And they were gorgeous. I mean, the sets, like, you can tell when they're sets and it's like, whatever. But the when they're like, he's like really climbing a mountain at one point. They're really in ravines and forests. And it was a good use of the locations. Yeah.
Yeah, Serena, you had mentioned that too.
Yeah.
That was really beautiful. There's a couple scenes where you're like, wow, that's really pretty.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, is it a green screen? And we're like, no, that is real.
Well, it's funny. You can tell what's real when you can tell what's fake.
Right.
Like, you can really tell what's
Yeah.
fake. And that's why you're like, oh, okay,
Makes
that
you
must be real.
appreciate the real even
Yeah.
more.
Oh, you know what was another part that it's because you were focusing on it that I was like, yeah, this is actually really, really good, is the spider scene.
Oh, okay.
Because
I completely forgot about the spider scene.
that was another pee break scene for me.
Can we call those from now on?
Yeah.
Like the bad parts of movies are pee breaks.
So they're the pee break scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely a pee break scene for me growing up.
Miss Murphy.
But you can tell
Miss Murphy scene.
you could tell it was stop motion, but the model that they were using was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Because it was see through and had that red belly in the middle. It was very effective.
It looked like one of those underwater electric eels color.
Ooh, okay,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like the vibe I was getting. Or like the underwater spider type creatures that like never see the light of day.
Yes.
And then they're like fluorescent.
Yeah. I was convinced for a little while that it was based on like a real spider because you could see the hairs on its legs. Like it had a lot of detail. So I thought it was very realistic, and I think they did a good job with
Yeah.
that. Whereas it could have been really bad. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it could have been bad.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Along those same
I
lines.
was gonna say, what were you gonna say? You thought I was going somewhere else.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something about the seer. They did a really good job on his demise, where when he was like dying.
It's creepy.
It's creepy.
so
It's the
creepy.
creepiest part of the movie.
The special effects, like when they traded bodies, was good.
Yeah.
When his eyes get black, and then
Ooh.
his death scene.
Oh my god, contorted face. Okay, guys. If I was like younger / still now, this would give me bad dreams.
Yeah.
They again, I mean, it was the 80s, so it was what it was, but I think they did a really good job where it could have been really bad. And it wasn't. It was
wasn't.
decent.
It was realistic enough that I was frightened. Those would be the pee breaks for me.
Right.
Those are my pee breaks. The scary scenes, I am out.
I feel like for the budget I don't know how much of a budget they had. I think they allocated the special effects well in
Yeah.
the correct scenes.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, the beast at the end, but it was. Yeah.
You mean the final boss?
Yeah, the final boss. Yeah. But I think they did well with what they had.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Well, and speaking of, I mean, this was a very big budget movie. This was a very expensive movie, and I think they put a lot of time and effort into those special effects. Didn't always pay off, but what are you gonna do? Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like going back to that scene. It's kind of creepy on a couple of different levels. Like, I've seen so many Charmed episodes that, like, I know when someone's embodiment, like, when they're, like, I'm like, wait, is that his soul coming to take him? And I'm like, wait, no, it's the devil, and he's coming to be, the replica of, I don't know, it just, the whole twist there, and then the seer was dead, and then he had surfaced back up from the quicksand. I don't know why, like, that was kind of a cool scene. Like, a cool little storyline. And it was scary for a few when they were leading, and he had, like, what's the boy's name?
Titch.
He had Titch and Colwyn with him, leading him off, and no one must follow, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, God. Now, his eyes are open and, like, black contacts, and I'm just like...
Yeah. Black
Somebody
contacts.
look at his eyes.
Black contacts are very effective.
They're
very
so,
effective.
I mean, they
so
still
freaky.
use them in,
Still use
and
them.
it's
Yeah,
still
Charmed.
Yeah,
All
I
the
mean,
time.
yeah.
Supernatural.
Yeah.
Like, they still use
Yeah.
them. Yeah. Yep. Speaking of the quicksand, can we talk about
I have it
Mano's
here.
Mano?
I didn't know where to put that in, but I think out of all of the deaths, that was the most
It's a hard
heartbreaking.
death. It's a hard death.
Because he was, even while he was dying, he was still trying to help the guys.
Yeah, because I remember when I was little, I was like, why is he throwing the bag? I couldn't understand why he was. And as an adult, I'm
At
like,
first, I didn't really
he's
get it.
trying to give them the supplies. He's
Well-
still trying to help them.
Because obviously I'd never seen it before, and I thought he was trying to throw something to them as like a rope to grab.
Yeah.
But
me
it
too.
wasn't.
That's
He
what I
let
thought.
go, and
Yeah.
it was too little to work as a pull. It was definitely like, I know I'm done for, but here, please go on. And
Yeah.
that goes back to
Yeah.
my line where he's like, finish it for me.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
yep.
All right, say the quicksand thing.
When
Say the
he-
quicksand thing.
Oh,
The meme.
I thought quicksand would be a bigger problem in my life.
Yes.
And that was
it's because of these types of movies.
Yeah.
All these, what do they call them? Sword and sorcery movies
Yeah.
of the 80s. They all had quicksand in them.
Yeah.
Ooh, sword and sorcery. I'd never heard of them described like that, but
that was like the genre.
I
that
love
was what
that,
they were
yeah.
called,
Yeah.
But
that
they
to me
all
is
had
classic
that.
early 80s, mid 80s.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Ugh.
the clincher for me was, you could see his hand falling. He sticks it back out for
Yes.
that second
Yes.
before falling again.
Yes.
And it's that false hope or something that maybe he can make it, and then he doesn't.
And then it just
It was,
droops.
I don't know if it was the actor or the directing or if it was written in the script, but it was well done.
You even were like, oh,
Yeah.
like you reacted to that moment.
Did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, kudos. That was
Yeah.
a good scene. I mean, it was a sad scene, but it was well done.
Yeah. And I always think of like, what's actually happening, like what, like you said, like where did that genesis come from? Like how is it being done? Blah, blah, blah. That, I think I remember reading somewhere that was just water with a bunch of cardboard up top. So that was all the actors, like the struggling was very realistic to me in that scene.
Yep.
Where sometimes when I see a quicksand scene, I'm like, all right, that's very clearly water. Like, calm your rolls, guys. Like, but I thought that it was an effective death.
Yeah.
He did good. Okay, so, wheel of questions.
Woo!
Wheel
We
of questions.
we chose.
No,
or
we didn't
didn't
chose.
choose. We spun the wheel.
The wheel chose.
The wheel chose 2 truths and a lie. I have come up with 2 truths and a lie, and you guys have to guess.
Okay.
Number 1. It was given an R rating, but in New Zealand it was given a PG-13 rating. Didn't even know it was released in New Zealand. I kind of forget about New Zealand sometimes.
Are you?
Number 2.
She's not very good at lying.
No, she's really
What?
no. You
Continue.
Was that bad?
No, that was good. Keep going.
But like, it sounds like it's a truth because of how you're talking.
This is
Like I didn't know.
Or maybe she's really good and this is her like.
Or
sucking
maybe
us
she
out.
doesn't
Maybe
know
it's
which one's
all
the lie.
3 lies or all 3 truths. You never know.
Yeah, it could be.
The swamp scenes were shot on the 007 soundstage at Pinewood Studios.
Okay.
Bernard Bresslaw was the Cyclops, and he was 6'7" tall, 6 feet 7 inches tall, and then they added lifts to make him even taller.
Oh, all right. Okay, she's.
Oh, okay, she actually is
she
good
actually
at
knows
this.
how to do this. Okay.
She like looked at us so.
I was like, oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Having said that, I don't think it was rated R. I would believe because he was taller.
There was not
6'7".
enough. I'm. It's hard because I feel like the first one and the third one are questionable.
But the second one is just like a fun fact, but doesn't really. Like, how would we know? Like,
Yeah. How are we gonna?
how would Betsy have pulled that out of her butt? Although her movie butt is very big.
I like big butts and it cannot lie.
Thanks.
I said your movie butt.
Thanks.
It's
I feel like the third one's a lie.
the third one, which is the lifts.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna go with rated R.
All right.
It's gonna be the middle one. You know it.
Yeah. Watch
All right,
it.
ready for the answer?
Yeah.
The rated R.
Ooh.
Was the
Wow!
lie.
Nice job.
It was actually rated PG, and in New Zealand it was G.
No way.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
How old
A
were
lot
you
of
when
the
you watched it for the first time?
2.
Yeah, the
No,
ratings were like
when we were kids were way different.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah.
we were less coddled and
Oh,
more
yeah.
like horrified.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's just.
Chee chee bang bang.
Oh man. Oh yeah. And all free today.
All right. So yeah, I actually am good at that game. Thank you
Okay.
very
All right.
much.
Good
Oh,
job.
snap.
Because you put a little bit of truth in there and then played it up.
Yep. All right, good game, guys. Good game.
Good game, everybody.
Wait a minute. How has
Wait
this movie...
a minute.
We're getting better at that.
And you guys are kind of changing it too a little bit, like making it your own a little bit. How has this movie influenced or been influenced by other movies? I think there are some very obvious answers here.
I mean, we've mentioned them, I think, is Star Wars and Princess Bride. Although Princess Bride came later.
But the book came first.
Yep.
Never mind.
First off, it's got a ton of the Save the Princess movies. So I have like a Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel, that to it. This is a stretch, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Obi-Wan character, Ynir, I don't know why, but he had a vibe, and it was Ray the Firefly from Princess and the Frog, because he had that, like, old man wisdom about him. I know. He didn't even have, like, the same accent or anything. No, what it was I was picking up on he had a lost love.
Yeah.
And I even guessed that it was going to be the Widow of the Web.
Ray and Evangeline's story is what makes Princess and the Frog for me.
Absolutely. Same. And granted, I actually like the Princess and the Frog story, the Ray and Evangeline, better. But I don't know why I made the connection, but I did. I knew that he was this wizened old man, and he kind of wanted Calwyn and Lyssa, the new Lyssa, to have a better story than he had. So that's why he was there. He was the guide. He was helping him through. He knew how to defeat it, but he couldn't do it himself.
Yep. I got you. I feel like they could, again, have driven that whole plot line home better.
Yes.
Because, like, when they detoured to the Emerald Seer, I got that. Like, that made sense to me. But then they also had to detour to Widow of the Web. Okay, fine. But then they threw in this whole story in one scene about, like, their past and blah, blah, blah. And if it had been underlying property that they were like, oh, let's pull in this thing from the original book, I would have gotten that.
Right.
But no, this was just a made-up story. Like, where did this come? It's
complicated backstory to.
It's the one scene of the entire movie where I have consistently been like, okay, let's fast forward through this part. It doesn't fit with me.
I think it's the 1979 Alien movie, by the way, because I'm looking. I thought the Beast was going to be that.
Okay.
I was waiting for the Beast to be that disgusting thing. So.
Nope, not as effective.
Definitely.
And 4 years later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to the whole sword and sorcery genre, this was in the middle of this whole grouping of early to mid 80s just B fantasy movies that basically all had the same plot line or very similar vibes. So obviously I get like Legend, Excalibur, even like
Labyrinth a little bit.
Yep, a little bit Labyrinth, Ice, Time Bandits, Ice Pirates. Like, it's just that era.
Yeah.
So
I call it dark puppetry.
Okay. Yep.
That.
Yep. I got you. So, yeah, very influenced and in influence. And nowadays it's a cult class. It's considered a cult classic. So I think that things currently reference it purposefully because it's Krull.
Right. Ready Player One was a movie book that brought the influences of the 80s, like everything you loved about it. And
I love that.
Yeah, they have the glaive in the movie. And now that I think about it, I think they reference Krull in the book.
Probably.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, people don't admit it, but most people have, they've come across this movie at some point in their lives.
So only in the beginning scene did I get that vibe of Aladdin for just a minute when, the princess and the king were talking, father and daughter conversation. I got a Jasmine and Sultan interaction. And then I thought it was going to be more of that throughout the movie. And then her dad was killed. And that was like the only scene. But for 1 minute, I got like the current, Aladdin movie.
Which is, like you said, goes towards the princess whole thing.
Yeah.
But it was also, she was choosing her husband.
Yeah.
She still had that power.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of fantasy movies in the 80s, the focus was on true love, but you still had to work that into the politics, the politics of it.
Yeah.
And I think they did that effectively.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, Serena, because I have a note here where it was a reversal where the king was hesitant to actually marry off his daughter. Usually in those tropes, the king is desperate to marry off his daughter no matter what she says. And she has picked not only someone she loves, but one that would help him politically. And she's all gung-ho for it. And he's the one that's like, I don't think this is, not sure about this, which is unusual. So and she hugs him and kisses him, and I think they do have that strong relationship. Again, we had it for all of 60 seconds, but I think it was a reversal of most of those story tropes, which I actually enjoyed.
You said she loved him as if she knew him before this. I thought she made the decision without ever meeting him.
I got the impression that they knew each other.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And that they kind of made the decision outside of their parents and then told their parents, because both of the fathers were like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, but because when they met up in that little corridor area, she looked at him and was like, I have chosen well.
It's
almost like the first time she
saw him. Maybe it was like a correspondence romance.
Maybe, but I don't know, I think they knew each other. And the reason I say this is because when she sees him coming, she goes around one way to try to sneak up on him, and he knows that. So they I feel like they were playing games with each other where they knew each other better than
it's a good point.
meeting.
I forgot about that.
Yes, it was a little. It wasn't a little awkward. It was just. It was the night before the wedding. It was a little. They were just both kind of nervous. But yeah, I agree. I definitely got the impression they already knew each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I appreciate. It wasn't. It wasn't a. Oh hey, nice to meet you. We're getting married and we're in love.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you. We're in love.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the movies we watch
A lot of the movies do that. American in Paris.
Yeah.
Confession, guys. I think I like this better than American in Paris.
Blasphemy. We're going to get kicked out of the podcasting and movie community with that one comment.
Blacklisted for life.
The iconic Gene Kelly versus nobody's.
Krull is better than an American in Paris. You heard it from here.
You heard it here first by Tracy Smith.
Yeah. All right, ladies, please remove your hats and silence your cell phones. How does this film hold up? I mean, it was campy fantasy 80s. It was fun, adventurous. They did what they could with the special effects. You can't really blame them too much for it. I still appreciated that half of the CGI that we have to deal with nowadays. I would take most of those effects over some of the CGI we get nowadays.
I forgive a lot. It was the time period. It is what it was. I went into the mindset thinking it was going to be this horrible movie that I would just be like, oh, you know what, fine, it's okay.
1983.
Right, but it was so much better than I ever thought it was going to be. Yeah. Yes, the script needed a little bit of help. There were some plot holes that we were forgiving, but all in all...
You ever seen Krull? You don't need to see Krull.
I'm literally, you're making Betsy so happy for her birthday pick because
this is your present. I'm not getting you a gift.
Yeah, this is it because literally I feel her radiating vibe from over here. She's like
success.
Yeah, because she's been waiting for this, and then I don't know what the other movie was that you showed us that we're both like, oh, but low expectations, and how long has this gone back where you're just refused to watch that movie? And Betsy,
it wasn't a refusal. It was just never
happened,
right? Yeah. Because it never came with a good review. It was just watch it because why not? And it's no, I'd rather watch something good than this. But and maybe because of all of that, I will say it's impossible
for my sister and I to gauge because I feel like this was the first time I was watching it as objectively as I could. And I'm like, it's holding up. It's actually not bad. No. And I just texted my sister being like, it took us 34 years, but I finally got Tracy to watch this movie. And she goes, wow, I thought that was the type of movie you could only watch if you watched it as a kid. Yeah. And I was like, apparently not. I didn't know. I wasn't expecting that, but yeah.
It did bring me back a little bit. I feel like even though it was made in 83, it would have been something I watched in the early 90s. Maybe be scared.
You did have to have that blanket excuse of we are watching an 80s fantasy movie. So if you understand that, you can't just show it to a kid today who's expecting, these big CGI, amazing graphic, you know what I mean? It is what it was, but what it was my nostalgia. I mean, I didn't watch this particular one, but it was that nostalgia factor where, okay, this is what it is. And I truly don't understand why this one, out of all the ones that were made, was the one that was the dirtbag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because to me, it was in the same league as all the others.
Because let me tell you, there is some way worse
that's
early 80s fantasy movies out there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's what I was thinking. You loved the genre title that I don't think Betsy made up. But
the sword and
sorcery. Yeah. I find it interesting that we haven't compared it to Black Cauldron yet.
You know what?
We did while we were watching it because I go, oh, is that Gurgi? Oh no, that's Fluter Flan.
Yeah, you're right. And Freddie Jones is in both. We'll say that.
Now that you're saying that, it's almost reminding me, like, it did kind of have a little bit of a Black Cauldron vibe. But Black Cauldron was...
You know what?
Animated. So, like...
Yeah, but...
Same era.
Yeah, but the bad guys still captured the girl. Yeah, you had the magical animal, hashtag, what was his name? Ergo.
Yes.
That would transform into a pig.
Ergo the Magnificent.
Oh, yeah.
Short and
Tall and power.
Henwin.
Narrow of purpose and wide of vision. Okay. Listen, actually, okay, so going back to, it's hard for me to find favorites. It's easy for me to find things I hate about this. I cannot stand Ergo.
Me neither.
I can't stand him.
No,
I cannot stand him.
No.
Because with a character like that, you need to have something that's redeeming. Gurgi was annoying until he sacrificed himself. And I understand that Ergo... It's like redeemed himself. He was like protecting Titch at the end and all that. Still annoyed the bejesus out of me. I don't know what it was. He didn't
really have a purpose.
He did not.
Because if he wasn't there, I guarantee you one of the other guys, because they were, like we were saying, they were all, even though they were robbers or whatever, they were all solid guys. They were looking out for each other. One of the guys, if not the king or whatever, would have taken care of Titch.
Right. And I think he was supposed to be the comic relief, but he wasn't funny. Run had all the good lines.
Yep.
And even like the interactions between Torquil and Run and Liam Neeson's character, I don't know his name, but they were kind of humorous a little bit, and like there was enough humor there. You didn't even need Ergo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my one con of this movie, okay? All right. But speaking of, boom, we fixed it.
I have one.
You said you had something. Go ahead.
So I think its downfall, and I think the reason they did it was trying to compete with Star Wars, was it mixed genres. It went from fantasy to sci-fi. What?
Yeah. No, I was thinking that. And when you said fantasy just now, when you guys were talking about fantasy, I'm like, wait, in my head, I'm like, I kind of felt like sci-fi.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the things
even at the beginning, when you were reading the synopsis, you were like, aliens?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Where I think unless you have this script story that is on point for some, that really makes sense of why there are aliens in this medieval world, they just don't mix well. They just don't.
It didn't make sense.
It didn't. It was swords against lasers, and not laser swords. It was steel swords against lasers, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
It was almost like two different movies, kind of like smashing together.
Yeah,
but not in like a melding way.
I can understand why they did it. They're like, okay, we've got this sword and sorcery type thing going on, but Star Wars is so big right now, so let's merge them and make this movie even greater. And they thought it was going to help them, and it actually hurt them. Because I think what took you out, like, you loved the landscapes. The landscapes were beautiful. That would have been great in a fantasy movie. Then you got the sound stages. The sound stage with the water was good, but the sound stage of like the spaceship thing was weird and like out of place. And then the beast, and even I wrote here the armor of the Slayers. I didn't like it. Took me out of it. It was they were too bulky or whatever. And you were starting to explain that, all right, I think it was trying to explain the exoskeletons of these aliens. And I'm like, all right, well then
But they didn't explain that well.
No, they didn't. But I'm like, well then they didn't need that. Whereas if they had like trolls or orcs or something, the classic medieval bad guys, it would have made so much more sense of why they're capturing the princess, because they know that, these are their enemies. So if we capture their princess, that these were aliens from outer space that couldn't give a care about what our politics were or whatever. They could have just blown up our world and moved on. So I think taking the aliens out, making it another bad guy, and then have the exact same plot line with the captured princess, and going even the magic what is it? The magic frisbee? What was it?
The glaive.
The
magic frisbee.
They could even have had, it's been in prophecies that this is the only weapon that can defeat the orcs or whatever the bad guy would be. You could have all of that. Yeah. Even the widow of the web weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah, widow of the web weirdness. I like that.
So I think that's would have been my fix.
I agree with you, and it's funny because I wasn't going to mention this because I know have either of you seen Legend?
No.
Okay. So that's why I wasn't going to bring it up. But you know what? For my listeners, about halfway through the movie, I was like, you know what? You're right. The weak part was the bad guy part. And the entertaining part, and fortunately the part we got the most of was Colwyn with the guys.
Yeah.
Like the adventure part. That was great. That was solid. Legend, I love the evil parts. The darkness, the literal darkness is the character. It's Tim Curry. Unbelievably phenomenal. That whole scene, and like he tries to turn the princess evil, so it's like working that angle, and like the visuals of it are just beautiful. But again in Legend, the other side of it, who's Jack the hero, Tom Cruise, I was like, can we get okay?
Yeah.
Like whatever. If we could take the good guys of Krull and the bad guys of Legend and put them together and make one movie, it would be.
Do you think we could do like an epic
that would be
cut
awesome.
and paste?
It would be
if we had more money and the rights to those movies.
Oh my god.
That would
Smash
be
cut
amazing.
of Krull and Legend. Holy
who
hell.
out there? Who can do it? Listeners.
That would be
Legendary Krull.
Yes.
The Legend of Krull.
The Legend of Krull.
You heard it here first.
Guys.
Yep. Guys. You know what I'm thinking? I feel like there's a bunch of great ideas in this movie, and they kind of mushed it all into one. And if they had created into a trilogy, maybe, they could do the Black Widow Spider have its own type of movie.
If they made it today, it would absolutely be a trilogy.
Yes.
And they would definitely. Oh, they
'Cause
would
it is
still screw
three
up that scene because they would somehow not
But-
be able to
but no,
flesh
because-
that out. But
They would,
And the spider would be CGI.
but the spider scene wouldn't even be in this movie. It would be into the second movie
Yeah,
or
that's
something.
true.
Right.
And they would be able to develop that whole scene better. I think that there's so much going on that we're like, whoa, and like a little bit, like not you because you've watched it 1,000 times, but like us.
Hey, I only watched it like 885 times. Okay?
885. But there's just a lot mashed into there, and when it becomes too, like, I don't know what the word is, muddled, it gets a little bit messy.
Yeah.
I think that they could easily have, especially with the money, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Because they were trying to fit so much in.
Yeah.
They were like, this is my one shot. I have to put all of our ideas into it.
But I think that that's what that's kind of part of the downfall.
Yeah.
So kind of what you guys already said, but it just dawned on me that I'm like, oh, you know what would be kind of cool if they calmed the F down about cramming everything into the first movie and like stretched it over to a second and third, because there
Right.
really are multiple storylines here.
All right. When whoever's remaking this movie, which is going to happen, I mean, come
I
on.
was just gonna
Yeah,
say,
you're
is
right,
someone
I
gonna
know.
make a second one
Please make it a trilogy and fix it.
and fix it?
All right. Martini shot, guys. Would you recommend this movie? I'm going to say no. No, I'm kidding. An obvious yes. But you guys.
I would.
Good.
I would prep the person to expect an 80s fantasy,
Slash sci-fi.
but I honestly don't know the difference between this and other ones.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
just as bad.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Maybe-
Or as good as Would you recommend it?
I would.
As convincing as mine.
I was going to say that.
I
feel like
would-
There's a butt right on her lips right there.
I would, but I don't know.
It depends on the person.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to like this
Not
movie.
everyone's gonna be
Yeah.
able to appreciate it. If you like, if the person I'm recommending to is into early '80s, the sword and sorcery,
The nostalgia factor.
yeah, then yes, yeah.
All right. Good game, guys. Good game.
Great job, everybody.
GG.
Next week is Serena's birthday. So she gets to pick. And then, what do we think? Are we going to go nostalgia, Serena?
Oh yeah,
Okay. All right. That'll be fun.
nostalgia for sure. Every time. I mean, honestly, Valley Girl was nostalgia.
It
That's
was
true.
And yeah, we got a lot of we got a lot of mileage out of that one.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. If you like what you hear, you can find more great episodes over on our website, www.millennialsatthemoviehouse.com, or wherever you find your podcasts. Curious about updates, extras from our episodes, or want to add your 2 cents about a reviewed movie? We're also on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle for both is @themoviemillies. Check us out and make sure to follow us. So until next time.
We're millennials.
And we'll see you at the movie house.
Happy birthday, Betsy!
Oh God, I'm old.